I'm super pumped that you took time out of your schedule to be here. So I appreciate that.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, why don't we jump right in? These type of podcast shows, I really try to keep as casual as possible. Try to keep it as close to like if we were just meeting for the first time in a coffee shop, and I'm just trying to get to know more
Right.
about what you're up to entrepreneurially and what you do. So I'm actually just going to get the start for you telling me and everybody that's going to watch this video just who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Okay. Well, my name is Myles Ramsay. I'm a first-time entrepreneur, I guess you can call that. So this is my first business startup. I'm the owner and CFO, which is we like to call it the Chief Fun Officer.
Nice.
So I'm the owner and CFO of BuzzBox Fun Kits. So it's a fun box that parents can order for their kids, and there's different themes, so they can surprise their kids with a couple hours of fun that comes in the box.
Wow. And specifically, like what type of fun are we talking about? Like what comes in this box?
Right. Right. So we have six different themes right now. We just sold out of one, but I can give you like three examples. So we have a superhero box. So in that one, there's a fun cape. You have like a hacky sack that has a superhero logo. Make your own comic book, stuff like that. So it just takes up a couple hours and gives the parents a break. But we also have stuff catered to the opposite sex as well. So we have a unicorn box, which has like a unicorn horn. It has a unicorn eraser, unicorn pencil, certain stuff like that. And then we have stuff that can go both ways. So we have a trash can treasures box that has like slime and all this fun stuff that you can get messy with in your backyard.
That's awesome, man. And like where did this idea come from?
So I wanted to start a summer business, right, with the summer company. But what ended up happening because of COVID-19 and the pandemic is the funding got shut down for it. So I just decided I'm going to start it up anyway. I'm going to take a go at it, see what happens. So I thought, what would be a perfect way to help out the community, but also help out myself by getting myself some experience in business, right? So I thought, parents right now, they're working from home. They're looking for some time by themselves, right? So they're like, what can I do? Well, then you see this BuzzBox Fun Kits and you're like, perfect, 3 hours by myself. I can just give it to the kids. They can go off into the corner and they can hang out there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then also where you're from as well. So everybody knows.
So Belleville, Ontario. I'm from Belleville, Ontario.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And for people that are watching, this is going to be pretty interesting. But when I was in high school, I saw your dad quite a bit in the halls
Yeah.
of Trenton High,
Yeah.
and then saw your mom quite a bit when I used to go visit their church at the time. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
been knowing the Ramsey family for quite some years, and it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. So.
Yeah.
So I'm super curious because like obviously like you come out of like like I think I probably like just saw you on my feed. I don't know if it was like weeks or like a month ago or something like that. But like it was just like this like it was really interesting. Like I really liked the way that you presented your brand, like presented like what you were trying to accomplish, your goals and whatnot. So I'd love to dig a little deeper into that with you because obviously like you have this great idea and you've executed on that. And I absolutely love execution. Like when you not only have a great idea, but you bring it into existence. And like, and just for everybody, just so there's no confusion for everybody, anybody watching, like how old are you?
16.
Great. When was your birthday?
January 26th. So I'm an early bird.
Oh, you just passed. So
Mm-hmm.
your birthday's early, mine's late. I'm like November 13th.
Yeah.
So I'm late in the year. So what like what is your goal with all of this? Like what are you hoping
Right.
to accomplish like long term? Like is this something like just you're just thinking about for the now? Is this something that you're thinking about like 5 years down the road? Like What are your thoughts around all of this?
Okay, well, I started the business as a summer business, and I thought, okay, it's going to go for the summer. Then I'm going to go back to school. It's going to be fine. Whatever. I'm going to make a little bit of money, impact the community in a positive way, have some fun while doing it. But then I thought that this could be actually bigger than that. So what we found is that hopefully, as COVID ramps down and we go into stage 3, parents aren't working from home anymore. They'll be going out to the office. Kids will be going back to school. They won't be bored as much. So I thought, okay, what's the next step for the business then? And I thought it'd be perfect. Say you have to go to a birthday party and you need a birthday present, or you need a Christmas present or something like that, or you need like to go on a road trip and you need something for the kids to do in the car. This is a perfect item for that. So that's pretty much our next step, is parties and like road trips and certain stuff like that, just to kill a few hours of those, just to kill a few hours, or it's a quick gift that you can just get and it already has everything pre-assembled and everything.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So like clearly like you're seeing this thing like continuing on like 5,
Definitely,
10
yeah.
years down the road. That's fantastic,
Mhm.
man. I love it. I love it. That's cool. That's cool. And like, and it's so cool because like obviously like your mother's like really entrepreneurially minded. I
Right, yeah.
love the Hello Boss Girl brand. Like the only thing stopping me from wanting to be featured is that obviously I'm not a female, but like I'm just a huge fan of like the brand and that. So like would would you say that you get like a bit of entrepreneurialism like from your mom?
Definitely, she's an inspiration. She's been helping me out, getting like contacts and certain stuff like that. Of course, she's been letting me do most of the work. She's been letting me kind of figure it out on my own. But she's just there, and it's awesome for her to be there, just for guidance and to help me through like all the problems, right? Because every day is a new problem, and you got to get through it. But she helps me with that, so it's great.
That's cool. That's cool. And like the average 16-year-old isn't like doing what you're doing right now, which is building a viable business. Like, what do your friends, what do
Right.
your peers think of what you're up to at this point? What are you hearing from them?
Well, they think it's yeah. Well, of course, it's not catered for them. It's catered for ages 4 to 10. But they're thinking it's pretty cool. At the beginning, they thought that it was it was like a dream, of course. But they were like, "There's no way it's going to go anywhere. I don't think anybody would buy a fun box like this." They were pretty. But after they saw that I got a couple sales, and I was like, "Guys, I got so many sales." I'm like, oh my goodness, people are buying this. And they're like, there's no way. And then they finally saw some of the numbers and they were like, wow, that's so cool, man. And then I've just been like kind of bouncing ideas off them, right? Because they're about my age, and they have younger siblings as well. So I've been using them. And that really helps build the brand and also have some support there.
So that's very, very interesting because like you said, like at first, like they weren't like completely on board with the vision, like they
Yeah,
didn't get it. And I mean, whatever. Like it's not them building it; it's you building it. But
right, right.
I love how you
Yeah,
pivoted
yeah,
from that and basically said like I just used the feedback from them from a market perspective, but not from a should I proceed with this
right.
or not. Like walk me through initially like when they
Yeah,
weren't on board. Like did you find that a hindrance to you, or was that something that helped propelled you forward, or did you just not
right.
care at all what they had to say about it?
Well, at first I was kind of discouraged. I was so basically they were out, they're going to all the parties, they're having fun, having a good summer, and I'm in my basement putting together some buzz boxes, which don't get me wrong, it's pretty fun putting it together by myself, listening to some music. But after a while, I realized that to start a business, you really have to have that foundation. You have to have, which is a big part of what my mom does. She always gets me down there. She gets me going. She's always like, okay, you gotta get downstairs. You gotta do some work. You gotta get on the business. You can't slack off. So you always have to have that foundation of having a strong mental and always knowing that your business can go somewhere big.
That's phenomenal, man. Like, and having a support like that in business, period, is a huge blessing. Like, I don't
Yep.
know where I would be like without support. Like, whether it's from like my wife, my business coach, like just key people that have poured into me. It's always great to have that. A side note: what type of music are you into?
Okay. Well, I'm your kind of 2000s 2010, so I'm the corny guy. Not really country, but kind of like just kind of corny, like 10 years ago kind of stuff.
Okay, like country genre.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know the song Chicken Fried?
I do.
Yeah, that's one of the popular ones in my books.
Cool, man. Cool. Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. So okay, so like and like what's your market like? Like who's buying this stuff? Like is it people in the Belleville area or is it Quinny or is it beyond? Like
So we've had right now we're just serving local, and we'll move to shipping in a bit. But so far locally, we have Quinny West is a really big. We've delivered a lot of boxes out there. Quinny West, Belleville, Foxborough, and I think we've had one as far as a couple in the county, which is pretty cool. But mostly, yeah, centered around Belleville and Quinny West is where most of our orders are coming from. And our market is pretty much usually moms. Our big market is moms, and also grandmothers and fathers and grandfathers is a big one. So it's the parents and the grandparents that want to get some gifts for their kids.
so that's the target audience is the grandparents and the parents, which then
Definitely.
filters down to the actual user of the product, which is the children.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. And you build all of the boxes in your basement.
Yeah, so we order all the items from wholesalers that are based here in Canada, which is good, so it's local. And basically, we get the wholesale items. We order the boxes from a printer. It's basically just a pizza box, and we print our logo on top of it. So we get all the items, and then I just assemble them at home here. Yeah.
Wow, man. Wow. So like how did you like how long did it take you to like learn that process of like, okay, this is where I need to order from. This is like the process to build the box. Like how long did it take for you to actually build the product before you could take it to market?
Right. So we had about four themes to start, and the four themes I thought was going to be crazy. It was too much, but it turns out you just have to be organized, and that's pretty much the key. So what we did is we had everything ordered, and our first time it got in, I think it took 2 weeks for everything to get in. We were so excited to get all the boxes ready, and then we realized that we had to be organized because we had all this stuff from different themes all over the house. We didn't know what to do with it. We had all these boxes that were like half full. So then we the second time we ordered, we got that all figured out. But the second time we ordered, we made sure to have some plastic bins to put everything in and label them exactly what's in them. So it took about 2 weeks for us to really get organized and get everything in its place.
Wow, that's pretty good timeline, man. A very good timeline.
Yeah.
So I'm like I'm really curious. Like, what about this is the most exciting part for you?
Right. Well, I feel like when you think business, you think, okay, I have to go to university. I have to get a degree. I have to have an amazing idea. I got to be Amazon. I got to be the next. I got to be the next Amazon. I got to be huge. But really, it's so exciting because I can be 16 and I can be doing what 30 or 40-year-olds are doing, and credit to them for doing it and sticking with the entrepreneur experience. But it's awesome that I can get the same opportunities that other people can, and my age isn't a hindrance. And I can just go out there and I can sell my brand and I can make a business when usually jobs, you can't really do that. You have to have certain credentials for that. But business, you can do whatever you want. Well, not whatever you want, but you can be free and you can be creative.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome, man. So and okay, and I'm super curious about this because like this has been a big like discovery for me in the last 7 years of like what I coming into to a conclusion of what I think about the educational system and like is it right for everybody? What is your opinion on like the post-secondary educational system? Is that something that you plan on being a part of or not?
So right now I'm in grade 10 going into grade 11. So I guess I'm in grade 11 now. I'll be in grade 11 in the fall. And it's really, I guess it just depends on your situation. Like my parents have always told me that I should just follow whatever like my dreams are, right? So say I'm in grade 12, the business is booming still. I'm just getting out of high school and I'm faced with the dilemma of you pay whatever it is, $40,000 or $20,000 for college or university, or you pump that money into your business and you keep the business going, right? And it's really going to come down to timing is what's really going to happen. Because I think I could get the marks to get into university, and a goal of mine has been to get into Queens to get into commerce there, which would be a big deal. But it would really depend on timing and how this business goes over the next 2 years. Like if it's really taking off and we're doing global shipping and everything's going well, then it'll definitely be a conversation then.
Gotcha. So you're essentially going to make a judgment call based on how well the business is doing at that point when you get to making a choice about post-secondary.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely after this summer is over and COVID has died down, we'll see if the business is still relevant. Hopefully, people still need these boxes. They're still wanting to get these presents for their kids and stuff like that. And hopefully, we can get it out there to different countries, but also all across Canada, which would be pretty awesome. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. And then, as I said, we'll make the judgment call on whether I'm going to post secondary. But right now, post secondary is definitely in the running, it's definitely out there.
What I love about what you said, Miles, is that like you know that there's an option either way you want to go. Like a lot of people just kind of
Right.
have the predetermined like, oh, this is what
Yeah.
we do. Like this is what you kind of have to do. And people forget that like we live in a wonderful nation, the land of opportunity where you do have a choice on like how you
Right.
want to live your life, what you want to make of it, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. So and I just think that's really cool that you have that in the back of your mind and you already have a clear sense of like, you know, this is what I would do depending on, where things are at with this other area of my life. I think that's really cool and mature of you.
Well, it's also the fact that like you go into high school and the goal is to graduate and go on to university or college. That's what they tell you. They're like, okay, these are what you got to do, and that puts in kids' minds. They're like, okay, I can't do anything till my 4 years are up. It's basically jail. I can't do anything. I have to just
Right.
sit back, learn, maybe get a car, work a job, and just get going. But what I found out is that there's so many more opportunities for young people now than there was whatever 25 years ago. There's so many opportunities. Like I'm getting contacted by people like by these adults everywhere, and it's so cool to see that young people have all these opportunities to make impacts in the community, but also to grow their own business and make their own money and just learn about the business. They don't have to be confined to the four walls of their high school. They can go out and make a difference in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like, is this your first like business, or have you done some entrepreneurial things before this specific business?
So this is pretty much my first official business. I've helped out. I don't know if you would know this, but my mom had a shop called Chickadelic. I helped out there, but I was pretty young back then. We used to. I used to just get receipts and do HST and stuff there. But this is pretty much my first business. I've also had a paper out, which has kind of helped put the money into the business. But yeah, the business is the first one I've done. Yep.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, like and it's and you said you knew essentially from a pretty young age that you wanted to have a business. How young were you?
So I think I was grade 7, grade 6 or grade 7, and I used to be really good at math. You know, I loved math. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an architect. I'm going to be an engineer and all this stuff, right? And then I realized that I didn't really like math when it got to
Well,
the hard stuff. You
hold
know,
up,
I
hold
didn't.
up, hold up, hold up. This is okay. This is so cool, Myles. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an architect since I was like grade 8. And I actually
Yeah.
took 2 years of architecture at Loyalist College because I thought that that's what I wanted to
Right.
do. And I was
Right. Right.
terrible, terrible at math. Like it was not
Right.
happening. But go on.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I realized from like grade 7 or grade 8, I did not enjoy math as much as I thought I did, or science and all that stuff. I was good at it at the time, but I wasn't enjoying it. And then in when was it? It was grade 9 or grade 10. I think it was grade 10 this year. I took my first business class at Eastside Secondary School, and that really opened my eyes. Like that showed me that business is just enough math and just enough science and just enough English that put together. It's not all the hard stuff and it's not all this quadratic formulas and all this stuff, but it's just enough where the math side of me is satisfied, but I can also be creative and I can also get out there and I can build something. So
That's like really, really good self-awareness, man. That's awesome. That's incredible. And listen, I know that I want to actually switch it around for a bit here because like I know you said you
yep.
came on wanting to ask a couple of questions too. So I don't want to ask all the questions.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll give you an opportunity now. Whatever you want to ask, man, go for it. Floor is yours.
All right. Yeah. So I had a meeting today with my small business partner, Luke Fournier, and he pointed out
Luke,
that yeah, Luke,
great
yeah.
guy.
And he pointed out that most of my Instagram and Facebook is mostly catered to like static, like it's pictures. Like it's a lot of pictures. And what you're doing here with the video and the podcast, I thought that was really cool. And he said that video can be people will click on videos and people will watch videos and they're really engaging. But I was just wondering how you use video to kind of further your business. Like, was there ever a point where you're like, okay, I got to do video? Or because when I think podcast, I think, okay, it's going to be a blank screen and I'm going to be listening to two guys talk, right? But you've incorporated the video aspect, which is really cool. And I was just wondering when you thought to do that.
I love the question, and I love that you went there because, and I don't know if I've talked about this before. Um,
Right.
I actually personally will typically not listen to a podcast unless
Yeah.
there's a video component.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just me. Like I typically will not, and it's funny because I'm telling everybody podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but I typically will only listen to a podcast in
Mm-hmm.
a filmed framework.
Right.
And that's just how I consume content. Like I'm very visual as far as the way I consume content. So and plus the other side to it is that the elements of which people consume content are audio, video, and creative.
Right.
So when you can get all three of those, um, it's just really efficient. You talked about, getting really organized in your business. Like it's just a real efficient way to produce content that you can use for multiple, like different variances to attract different key individuals within your audience. So yeah, like, and for me, like video became a necessity because it was like, yeah, like we're talking about all of this neat, interesting stuff in
Mm-hmm.
like our team meetings and our huddles with clients one-on-one. And then like honestly, the moment that I had was like when I started watching Gary Vee, and he was
Right.
talking about documenting versus creating. And that really just got me down a path of like, man, like we need to take these cool conversations that we're having and we need to put it out there for people to see. And then, and to me, that is like accomplishing a goal that I have, which is being the agency in Quinny that provides the most value to the community at no cost. I just put that
Right.
on Front Street in this podcast. So, and that's a goal that I have. I want to be the agency that puts out the most value in the Quinny area, period. You didn't pay me a dollar for the value I provided. It was provided. So to me, video is an essential way to accomplish that. And it also provides what I really appreciate, which is context. Um,
Definitely.
you get context very well when you hear the back and forth two-way conversation, what you had to say, what I had to say, and then what was the background to that, and how did it apply to your exact situation. And video does a really good way of portraying that.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, so I definitely want to incorporate more video into what I'm doing to definitely liven things up. I know I've tried. I don't know if you're familiar with a program, Powtoon. It's like you like make your own like infomercials and stuff like that. But I tried to make one of those in just pretty cool, and just tell people like how to make a buzz box, you know, certain things like that. To try and incorporate video into it. I'm not quite good at it right now, but I'm definitely working on getting video into that.
What I think what could work really really well, for you, Myles, is
Right.
talking specifically to, like, if you interviewed like one of the parents or the grandparents of the
Right.
kids that are now using your product, and just getting their honest feedback, but in a video format, I would be
Mm-hmm.
really, really interested to see the nuances of that type of a conversation in
Right.
content form on your Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever
Mm-hmm.
platforms that you're on. That stuff's powerful, man. It's powerful.
Yeah. I also had a question about teams, like employees or certain things like that. So
Yeah.
I know, yeah. So I'm just a startup, so I don't really have anybody employed. I'm just a sole proprietor. But what I do have my sister driving me around, my mom helping me out with social media and stuff like that, and then. But I was really curious as to how you grew. Like you probably, I know you talked about your friend, but did you start off like just you, and then you got some people helping you, or how did you get those people to help you? Are you like, are they a team? Are they hired by you, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so right now we have nine team members. We have two to three contractors, I believe, right now, and
Right.
so they were all hired. Um, so everybody's been hired, and like, just to kind of give context, like I didn't create this this, like, the business that we're in.
Right.
So
Right.
where you and I part ways as far as history is, you actually created Buzzbox from nothing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're the
Mm-hmm.
founder of the business. I'm not a founder of OSM. I bought
Okay.
OSM and then I turned it into what I visioned for it. So, and a lot of
Right. Right.
the employees that work at OSM, I inherited as well, and then I hired some employees on top of that. So that's essentially how I went about it. But team members, man, oh, they like, especially when it comes to scaling, it makes a huge difference. I think, like, when you think about investing into the business, like a big question I get is like, how do you scale? And my number one answer to that is hire people.
Right. Right. Gotcha. Last question for me. So we were talking about post secondary school, and what happens after high school. And I was just curious because I know I'm going into some pretty important years with grade 11 and 12. But I was curious, what you did. I know you said you did 2 years at as an architect, or like 2 years learning to be an architect, and then you didn't like it. But what happened after high school that led you to becoming this? Like, was it just, because I know you said 7 years, but was it like gradual, or did you, right after you dumped the architect gig, did you just think, okay, I want to be a businessman?
Yeah, so the history I can provide here is like I had a detailing business when I was about your age. So, and essentially, like I had worked in detailing at a dealership for 3 years prior to that, and then after those 3 years, I got laid off, and it literally just became I jumped into entrepreneurship, so to speak, as like necessity. Like I didn't have another job, I didn't have income coming in, but I knew I had the skill. I could detail vehicles. So I literally just created a Facebook page, invited my friends to it, and said, "Hey, I detail vehicles." And I just remember that summer being so busy. Like I was every day I was running off to the county, I was running off to Belleville, I was going down to Brighton, up to Coburg, and detailing all of these vehicles. And I just remember feeling the freedom, like driving in my car, listening to my music, and just the freedom of like, man, this is awesome. Like I set my schedule, I set my hours, and I don't have to like answer to anybody on like what I'm doing. So except for the client, and my aim is always to please the client. So that was like kind of like that was when it was really serious. Like I had shoveled driveways and like cut lawns when I was like 11, but like the detailing was like to me a defining moment. And then after high school, when I wanted to be a full-fledged architect, so I wanted to be the architect that like signed, put their stamp on drawings, had a firm. Like I wanted to kind of be an owner in that specific industry, but then just realized like it just was not where my skill set was. So after 2 years, and that's maybe the only thing I regret about my post-secondary education is that I waited 2 years to
Right.
admit to myself that that was just not what was for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then after the 2 years, I switched. So I switched out of architecture to business, sales, and marketing. And my goal from there, I remember the very first day they had to you had to do an internship. So I did an internship at OSM. Um, and I remember the previous owner, I sat with him and I just said, I'm like, what's your like 5 to 10 year plan? And he just looked at me like I had six eyes, and he's just like, no employees ever asked me that question. And he just said that, yeah, 5 to 10 years, I'm looking to kind of take a step back, maybe kind of give it on to somebody else. And he asked me the same question, and I said, I'm looking to take a step in.
Right.
So I pretty much put the previous owner on notice from my internship that I was going to buy him out anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And then I ended up buying him out in 4. And that's how we made it here today.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So it's super super like interesting, and like I'm super excited for you because you already get what a lot of people are still trying to understand, which is like in today's day and age, like it's never been a better time to start a business. And
Mm-hmm.
like I watch all these YouTube videos like 16, 17, 18-year-old entrepreneurs that like they now employ their parents. That's because that's how big their business has grown.
Right.
So it's totally possible, and I'm super excited for you because I really believe that you're going to be super successful in this, and I think you're going to be a force to be reckoned with in this community in the best way possible. So I'm just super pumped for you, man. I think you're going to do very, very well in this.
Thank you. Well, and it's true that everybody takes their own path, right? Like I could start like really young, and then I could, if this business doesn't work out, which hopefully it does, but if it doesn't work out, I can always go. I can go back. I can make a new one. I could get some new ideas, you know, if this one doesn't quite pan out. But it's your own path and it's your own life that you can live. It's just how you want to live it. It's just, you never want to be confined, which is what I found happening in high school. Is I found I had so much homework. I had so much of my time being eaten up by this school that I didn't even know if I wanted to commit to the post-secondary education, right? But then I realized that I could get out of there and I could start my own business and have fun while making money as well.
That's phenomenal, man. That's phenomenal. And like you talked about like lifestyle. Like, do you have any? Because I know like everybody has different tastes, right? Like, do you have like any like aspirations as far as like lifestyle that you want that maybe entrepreneurship can help you acquire?
Right. Well, I don't enjoy being bossed around. So I'm not very good in a position where I am not the boss. So that's I thought, okay, I can make my own business and I can be my own boss, right? I can make my own hours, I can do whatever. But I really thought that, not that I think that I'm better than everybody else, but I just think people can have their own businesses, and if they can do it, then so can I. And I can really, because it's my own hard work is basically what I'm saying. I'm the bar that's set. It's not somebody else, and that's how far the company can go. It's me and my vision, right? And my plan. It's not somebody else and I'm working under them and I have to wait for them to make moves that should have been made a couple of years ago. I can make the moves, and I can really be pretty much the business's goals can be as high as my hard work is willing to go. So I'm pretty much like the basis for how big the business can get.
I completely understand what you're saying. And I'll even take it a step further as to say this. And I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast before. Um, I almost walked away from OSM as an employee in year 3.
Right.
That had nothing to do with my employer at the time. That had nothing to do with the people there. It literally was because of what you just said. I felt like I was at a point where I wanted to be the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And if I couldn't achieve that where I was going to go find it somewhere else.
Right.
And I stuck around and, you know, whatever, it all worked out. But I think that's a really good self-awareness piece. And I want to stay on this for a second because like, I think a lot of people are scared. Like they think that that's a
Yeah.
weakness, that they aren't, you know, that they, you know, that authority isn't something that they take too lightly. They don't easily bend. A lot of people see that as a weakness, like, oh, that person's not, you know, he doesn't have a good learning attitude. He's not teachable. Like all the things that people can say about that type of mindset. But the other side to it and to where you're coming from, and I totally agree with you, is that sometimes you just know that the position that you are aspiring to is one where you're the bar and everything, you know, like everything below that is blanketed by your vision. So
Right.
I just think that's a huge self-awareness piece for people, and I'm so glad that you shared that because I think that's going to help a lot of people.
Right. Well,
And
also where people are. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Okay. Well, also where people are stuck, I know some of my peers, they think that it's such a big step to create your own business. When in reality, really, I only had to invest like I had a bunch of money saved up, so I had to invest. I think it was like $1,000 was my startup, my big money. So I put that into the business, and I said, okay, let's go for it. I'm 16. I got whatever. I got a solid foundation. I can go for it. And so many of my peers are stuck thinking that it's this big deal. It's like you're investing like multi-billion dollars. It's not. You can make the money back. And you can always like, and if it doesn't work out, you can always just start a new one or you can do something. And people also think I'm not a born public speaker. I'm not a born leader. I'm not a born whatever. But leadership and public speaking aren't things that you're born with. They're things that you develop over time. and there are things that you can learn, and there's things that you can listen to a podcast, for example. You can see people doing it. You can learn from that. And you don't have to be subject to what you're good at right now. You can branch out and do things outside of your comfort zone. And that's where business really takes off, is when you're willing to take the step, when you're putting self-sacrifice in front of your fear, is when the real business when you start getting big. It's when you're accountable for your business. Say I put in $100 at the start of my business, I wouldn't have been as accountable, and I wouldn't have been ready to get going. I wouldn't have been ready to hop into it. I wouldn't have felt like this business was life or death. But that's what it has to be to really take off. It has to be your passion, and you have to be passionate about it, or else it's never going to go anywhere.
And just so that nobody's confused, like that $1,000 that you started up with, did you borrow that or did you save that?
Yeah. So that was saved from years of just like paper routes and stuff like that. So I never really spent it, but I thought, okay, I got to take a leap. And I actually listened to this podcast, and they said that you can't really start your business without taking that leap of faith. And you can't start your business without making a big personal sacrifice to start the business.
Completely agree with you. And I love that you said that. And the reason I pointed towards the money side of it is because that's one thing that really stops people. Their thought process around, I need to have X number of dollars, $100,000, $200,000, $1 million to start something. You can start something with zero. Right? Like the cost of entry is so low for anybody wanting to get in. Like it's like I said, it's never been a better time. I just think that was important for people to hear you say that, because like literally like $1,000 and you're off to the races.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and after you invest and after you take the risk, it's really just how far your hard work will take you and how far your vision will take you. And that's pretty much how it goes, is you're willing to make the risk. You can't put the $1,000 in and then do nothing about it. You have to put the $1,000 in, and then you gotta start your business up. You gotta make moves. Every day you gotta be on it, solve a problem. You can't just let it go. But that's what really scares people, is the amount of commitment that a business takes. And it takes a lot of commitment, but if you're passionate about it, it doesn't seem like a lot of time at all.
That's hot. Yep. 100%, man. 100%, man. Listen, Myles, I'm so pumped that you came on today and shared your story with me. I appreciate you, brother. Big things you're doing, big things around the corner for you. I think a lot of people are going to learn quite a bit from you in this podcast. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, sir. Looking forward to absolutely. And let's keep in touch, man. I want to see how you're doing, how things are going, and let's just continue to keep in touch and support each other, man. Appreciate you, brother. All right, you take care, sir.
All right, thanks for having me.
Exactly.
Where you went to, but you know what? I went there once to do a seminar.
Raise it up. Cheers. Welcome this morning.
To make sure I got the volume all right.
Today, and everything works well.
And we're like,
so I'm used to this in this current role as well.